Hi everyone, Caroline here, and lots to tell you today. It's been an eventful couple of days. Let me start after I've coughed. Hang on. Oh, excuse me, sorry. Let me start by saying thank you, a massive thank you to everybody who saw my last video, where I had got myself into somewhat of a tears. And for anybody who watches these videos on YouTube, I also post these videos to a private Facebook group, part of a community I belong to, and I had an overwhelming number of responses to the video, people reaching out, help and support, and I also had quite a few people reaching out personally to me as well. So thank you to everybody who took the time to write me messages and offer your guidance and support, and if I haven't responded to you, then I have got your messages, but I decided after that video that I needed to take a step back and just cut myself off from the world, really, for a period of time, just to figure out what was going on and what was behind those feelings and emotions that came up. And to be fair, I think it was a long time coming. If I think about it, the universe has been trying to send me signs to tell me to slow down and stop pushing so hard. I mean, breaking my foot is a pretty extreme example, but that's one example of indicators that I've been pushing myself very hard, physically, mentally, emotionally, over the past months, really, in an effort to get this business going. And I think I underestimated when I started this journey quite how much personal transformation is needed to go through, or certainly that I needed to go through, in order to get myself in a position to do this business, and to offer the best of me as part of this business. So anyway, as I say, lots of lessons I've learned over the past 48 hours, and they boil down into limiting beliefs, understanding my fears and learning to surrender and let go, and listening to my body, and to the universe, and paying attention to the signs that they're sending me. So I'll just talk through them all quickly. I'm trying to be too long, so I just recorded this video and it went on for about 11 minutes, so I thought I'd try again, try and cut it down a bit for you. Limiting beliefs. So I've known that I've harboured quite a few limiting beliefs for quite some time, and I've been putting off dealing with them because I've deal with that later. For the moment, focusing on my business, I'll deal with that later. But I think time has come for me to face some of those beliefs, the things that are in my subconscious. We all have them. Beliefs that have been set for many, many years based on past experiences. A lot of them date back to our childhood, certainly our early years. And these beliefs affect how we work and the success that we can have in our life, because it's about what we believe we can have and what we believe we deserve. So, for example, beliefs like money is the root of all evil, or rich people are greedy or nasty or arrogant, or all these things, negative connotations that you attach to people with money, that they're bad people in some way. So anyway, I started listing out yesterday a lot of limiting beliefs that I hold, and ended up coming up with about 2 pages of A4 so far, and went through a process, or now I'm going to go through a process of I say, once I've identified them, of then questioning them, and seeing where they've come from, and seeing whether they actually hold true, whether there's any evidence to support that belief in the real world, and also how can I turn that belief around into something that does serve me rather than something that doesn't serve me. So that's the limiting beliefs, and to be honest, I could do a whole video on that based on what I've learned in the last 24 hours. And then the second thing is surrendering and letting go. and for this I watched one of Dan Holloway's videos. So Dan Holloway has his own YouTube channel, and there's a video on there, I'll post a link to it down below, about the difference between surrendering, sort of letting go, and giving up. And it was really useful. I've been aware of this video a few times. I've come across, tried to watch it a couple of times, but I obviously wasn't quite in the right space myself at the time. I didn't need it, but I needed it today. So I watched it today, and it was just like, yes, this is what I need to hear. So I went through that and did some of the exercises that Dan talked about identifying fears. Because I realised that I was getting into such a fear state, that I was fearful of failure, fearful of not being able to get my business going, of not getting enough leads, of not getting the right marketing strategy, all sorts of things. So the question was, underlying all that, what is the worst, the absolute worst that could possibly happen? Write it down. There might be more than one. I had about 15 different things, different scenarios that I was worrying about. No wonder I had no energy. And then go through each one and think, so for each of those situations, if it was to actually occur, if the worst did happen, what would you do? What would you actually do in that situation? And I went through them all and realised that half of them were nonsense fears anyway. When I actually put them on paper, I realised that they weren't true, or didn't hold up. And then the ones that kind of did, I realised that it's okay. I'd survive, you know, if I went bankrupt, lost all my money, you know, if my business failed for whatever reason, you know, I wouldn't end up homeless and desperate on the streets. I'd survive like I have done before. And then I went through, actually, when in my past the worst has happened, what happened to me, what did I do, how did I respond? And I realised that in a lot of the big events in my life, like losing my job, being made redundant, being dumped by my first boyfriend, my best friend dying last year, actually, although those events were horrific at the time, what came out of them was huge. Some opportunities, changes in my life that moved me forward. You know, if I hadn't lost my job, I wouldn't have ended up discovering photography as a passion, and I wouldn't have ended up travelling the world on a cruise ship, and all the experiences that went with that, for example. So that was the fears exercise, and that's really helped unblock me a lot in terms of, if the worst happens, I'll deal with it. So what? You know, A, it's unlikely to happen to get to that stage, because I probably won't let it, but B, even if it does, the world's not going to collapse and cave in, and I'm not going to die. And even if I did die, well, then I wouldn't really care, would I? So that was about surrendering. And what was the last thing I said? Limiting beliefs, surrendering, and listening to the universe. Yeah, it's breaking your foot. That's a pretty in your face sign from the universe to slow down, isn't it? Yeah, so that was one of the signs. There were other signs to me to slow down, and I ended up spending yesterday, I had a quiet day yesterday, decided to just have a day off work, just doing things that make me happy, and just having time with myself and my thoughts. And so I lay down on the sofa in the afternoon to just be still and do perhaps a bit of meditating, and just see how I felt, you know, stop thinking, start feeling. And I fell asleep, and I ended up sleeping for 3 hours on the sofa, middle of the afternoon, which completely surprised me, because as far as I'm aware, I sleep pretty well. I sleep, you know, 8-9 hours most nights, wake up when my body naturally wakes up. So I didn't feel like sleep was anything I might have needed, but apparently my body, when I listened to it, told me it needed sleep. So yeah, paying attention to the signs and listening to yourself as well. So yeah, I think there's been more lessons, but I think that's enough for today. But I think suffice to say that I feel released, I feel unblocked, and I wasn't planning on doing any work today either. But in actual fact, I've spent the afternoon doing some really good quality work on my avatar and on a completely new campaign. So I'll probably talk more about that in the coming days. But yeah, so I feel like I needed to go through this to get to this point. Lessons have come out of it, and I'm moving on. So there you go, folks. I hope there's some stuff that's of use to you in there, but I felt it was important to post the video on Thursday, my frustration video, because I want to show all sides of this journey. I want to document them for myself, chronicle it, as Rachel said, but yeah, just I want to show and share with everybody else out there that you're not alone, and if you're going through anything like this as well, it's natural, and we have to go through these ups and downs to learn the lessons that we need to move ourselves forward. So which is what I've done, and it's not always very pleasant, but I know that I'm going to come out the other side of it. So sometimes it is just letting go, letting it pass, and then looking for the lessons and learning them and moving on. So there we go, folks. It's turned into a long one, and I'm afraid, sorry about that, but so much to say. But I hope that's been useful for you, and yeah, thanks once again. All right, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.